that I posted about histograms. But histograms are very powerful ways to do this. But by the way, when you read that, you find out that histograms are very difficult to, let's see, I'm trying to think of what I want to say, to construct by hand. And also what happens is they're different. And we're saying that 54 bears, I think was what Linda quoted. So 54 bears is more bears than you probably want to make a stem plot out of. And by the way, if you start looking at these bears, you get another complicated issue. You say, what's the stem and what's the leaf? Because the tiny, there's a bear that's 34 pounds. That must be like a way baby bear. But then there's another bear that's like 500 and some pounds, and you say, what's the stem and what's the leaf, and how do I make sense of this? And this should just be a horrible thing to do. So it turns out that a histogram is a better way to do this. They also tell you in the video that that it's better using technology to do that. And so Linda's going to make a histogram of the bear's weights for us. And Linda, I'm turning this back to you for you to do this and talk about the bears and their weights.
Okay, so all I'm going to do is just highlight the weight column. And since we're making a histogram, then I'm going under Insert. And then that's just going to be under, I believe, Recommended Charts.
Kathy has a comment first. Yeah, Kathy, what's up?
I'm only seeing a black screen or Linda's avatar picture. I'm not seeing any screen being shared. I don't know.
Well, maybe Linda needs to share the screen or stop sharing and share again or something. She'll fix that.
Yeah, that's fine. I can reshare it.
Okay, and Kathy, thank you. That's good, because a lot of times I'm not listening to what I'm saying and stuff, so she's doing that. And Kathy, if we don't hear from you on this issue again, we're going to assume that it's good.
We all good? Everyone can see it?
Yeah.
And Linda, go back.
Thank you.
Go back to,
okay.
I mean, kind of rewind just for, I don't know, 2 seconds.
Okay. So all I'm doing is just highlighting the data. And then it should be under here, but I'm not seeing statistical charts for some reason.
Now, Linda, one thing that I'm thinking might have happened is you might have not been in Excel 365. You see,
yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? And by the way, you guys,
I think you are right.
Excel 365 or Microsoft Office 365 is free to you, but also things are different in all kinds of different versions and stuff like that. So Linda generally will be working in, I'm giving the ball back to you.
Yeah, so what I just did was I just resaved the file to be a normal Excel file. I'm hoping that that'll fix it, but I'm still not seeing it. I may need to try to reopen this. Let's see. Just give me 1 second.
Yeah, I see the histogram there, Linda. I see it.
Yes. There we go. Insert to statistics chart. So then I just pick histogram, and there we go.
Okay, now this picked the those limits for you, but that really tells you at least some things, is that you know that most of these things are tiny bears. I'm going to guess that these are like really tiny black bears or something. These probably are not grizzly bears and things like that. Now, Linda, show them how they can, and by the way, you can futz around with this and change those, whatever you call those shells and things like that. But, and Linda, just talk about what this chart is telling you numerically, please.
So basically what this is telling you is that most of the weights are falling in this lower category, and as the weights get higher, then there's less and less in that category.
Okay, and I'm going to ask Linda a question, but this is a key word. You guys are supposed to know what this means because it gets talked about in these videos. Linda, is this skewed left or skewed right?
This is skewed to the right because that's where the tail is.
Okay, excellent. So, I mean, we're throwing around some vocabulary, but you know, you want to be catching this this vocabulary, and so you kind of see about the bears, and there's a histogram, and you can tinker with this and things like that. Linda, show them how they can cut and paste this into a document, please,
Okay.
like a Word
So
doc.
all I'm doing is just clicking on the chart and then hitting Control C. So I've copied it, and then I can just open any Word document and then paste it. So Control V.
Okay, now this would be cool if you were doing, you know, something that you really cared about. I don't know if you guys care about bears or not, except as being endangered creatures and stuff like that. In fact, I used polar bears in an example of a talk I was giving the other day because they are endangered. It was a global warming talk. But anyway, this is good though, because it's possible on a high stakes assessment for me to say, hey, here's something, how about having a histogram of this? So what you would do is you would paste that histogram into your Word doc and you would change it into a PDF and you would upload it for me. So you see, I can actually have you do things like that. And so you want to know how to do this, not only for the low stakes assessments, but possibly for the high stakes assessment. Linda, let's do a poll. Okay.
Okay.
And this is going to be a yes or no poll.
All right.
Is any data lost in Linda's histogram picture? And so you vote yes or no. And by the way, nobody knows who's voting how. And so, you know, don't worry about this. I really like for you to engage. So don't sit out there and just say, oh, I'm not going to vote. Well, vote. You might be wrong, but you'll learn something. So, damn it, Linda, I don't even remember how I asked the question. What did I say?
Is any data lost in a histogram?
Is any data lost in a histogram?
So in other words, can you recover the initial data from a histogram?
And that's that little, you know, like thing that Linda and I did, that little recitation we did on that one chart. Okay, Linda, why don't you tell who is right and who? Oh, wait, someone has a question. Kathy, are you trying to ask a question or no?
Sorry, yes, I had a
Maybe not.
question. Are you saying the question was, is any piece of data lost? Like, is there any part of, you know, one of the facts that's put in there lost, or is
Well,
every
I'm going to say
every
it a different way, which really gives away the answer. But you see,
okay.
what I said was way cool about a stem plot is if I had a stem plot, I knew about shapes and everything else. But I also, with a stem plot, I could recover the entire data set if I wanted to. So can I recover the entire data set? And the answer is no. I can't, and Linda will show you the picture again, and we'll talk about why. I'll let Linda answer why. Okay.
Yeah, so we have these categories and we know how many things fall into that category, but we don't know exactly what it was that fell into that category. Like we have 80 here, but that could have just as easily been 79 or any number really between 26 and 136, and it would still fall in the same category. So we don't necessarily have the initial data just because we have the histogram. We just know what the general spread of the data looks like.
Yeah, and where Linda is pointing, we have a bunch of bears, which looks like maybe 22 fall in that block. That's all we know. They all could be the lowest weight and still fall in that block, or they all could be the biggest weight, or scattered about all in between. So you see, something is lost and something is gained. And you guys are not old enough to know of Judy Collins, but there was a song, Something's Lost and Something's Gained in Living Every Day. And that's her song about, I've looked at clouds from both sides now. That's enough music trivia. Okay. Now, there was a really, really nice video about the histograms. And in fact, the one guy, I think his name was Raul Lopez, who was in the video, he was talking about categorizing 750,000 data things. Well, gee, you have to use a histogram or something like that as well. Okay, so Linda, let's go back to the charts then. And
Okay.
let's go back. I know I'm jumping around a lot, but I think we're covering things I want to cover, so that's good. So we're going back to the charts, everybody. I hope you realize
Isn't
how
that
powerful.
this?
I hope you realize, and Sierra or Kira, I will call on you in just a moment. Realize, and the only reason I'm putting you off is that I want to make sure I say what I was going to say. That would have taken Linda a long time to graph that by hand. A long time to graph that by
Oh,
hand.
yeah.
Okay, so Kira, what was your question?
I just had a quick question about the commands that you were telling us to copy the chart. Is it different if
Okay.
you have a Mac computer? I have a MacBook and I know that it's usually different from a regular selection. Do you know?
I mean, I assume that Control C and Control V are pretty universal.
I tried
So
it.
I don't think they're different.
Would be
I-
Command C and Command V.
Thank you, Paula.
I-
Okay, 'cause I tried and it didn't work with Control. Thank you.
Well, and by the way, I am. When I was young, and sometimes I say had a real job, but when I was young and I was working in industry, I actually did work in an R&D organization. I was very much of a Mac guy. I guess I got old and tired, or at least maybe I just got tired. And what happened is that I gave up because it was too, complicated. The Mac is a wonderful machine, but it's in fact, Steve Jobs said to Bill Gates, well, ours is better. And Bill Gates said, it doesn't matter. And he was true with that. Okay, so anyway, and that's Silicon Valley trivia that you don't need either. Linda, let's go back to some slides then.
Okay.
But Kira, you will practice doing this stuff and you'll figure out how to do these things. Kathy, what's up? Now, and Linda, we want to go back a bit. Yeah, go ahead, Kathy. I'm sorry.
That's
Yeah.
in regards to using Excel, I don't have any experience using it other than for, the common, addresses or whatever, simple things.
That's why we're going over it, because you will have access to Excel,
Okay.
and I will ask you to do problems that will be like this. And so maybe Linda wants to comment on that. But so should Kathy learn Excel? A bit of Excel?
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly useful, especially in this course. And in the videos that we are recording and will be on YouTube for you to reference, then I will say everything that I'm doing. So if I hold down any keys, if I'm selecting anything, then you will hear it in the videos. And if you don't know what
Okay,
I'm doing, then feel free to ask me and I will let you know exactly what is happening on my end.
It's just another dimension that you will grow in this course. Okay, now I'm pleased that you went back here because we are making progress. So we just did the bears, and now what we're going to do is we're going to use calculators in Excel for calculations. Okay. Now, Linda, we haven't done Excel for calculations, but we're going to maybe we'll do 2 of these. So Linda, I want you to use the calculator that's on the PC to do this. And Linda, I want you to pick a number between 1 and, I need to find my glasses so I can read these. Linda, I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 8.
6.
She picked 6. Okay. Now, Linda, I want you to go to the whiteboard and write this expression. And then I want you to use the calculator on the PC to do the calculation. Now, the reason Linda's going to be doing this is that, yeah, this class is about calculating, and I will be letting you on the proctored exams use the PC calculator, and I also will let you use Excel. Okay, so Linda, and I'm sorry, Linda, but I'm going to be reading this, but
Okay.
so big old square root. Okay, the numerator under the square root is 10, parentheses, 513.27, close parentheses, minus 71.5. That last thing is squared. Yep, and that's all under the square root. But then you have a denominator underneath that, Linda, still under the square root. And this is 10 times 10 minus 1. Now, Linda could tell you what statistical formula leads you to this, but these are calculations that you will want to know how to do. So Linda is going to do this twice. She's going to do it with the calculator, and Linda used the on-screen calculator, if you will. And so she's going to do this. She's probably writing it down frantically right now.
Yes, I am.
And then she's going to do it with, we've done this too many times, Linda. And then what she's going to do is she's going to do this in Excel. The point is, I am going to expect you to do calculations that might be like this. So Linda, go ahead.
Okay.
And if you got a calculator, you can play along, or if you got the PC, and I guess many of you are watching us on a PC, you could try that. And Kiara, even try that with your, or Kathy, whoever it was, try that with your Mac calculator if you want. Okay, so Linda, go ahead and talk if you want about as you're doing this.
So I'm going to start with the square root. So I'm hitting the square root button. Actually, I think I need to type things in first. Hold on. So I'm doing 10 times, that is 513.27. And then I'm doing minus, hold on. That did it twice, or I didn't hit something.
You have parentheses there. You might want to use the parentheses.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay. So 10 times 513.27. So I have that quantity. Then I am subtracting, and that was 71.5 squared. So I'm going to open another set of parentheses and do 71.5, close my parentheses, and square that. So this is my numerator. So I'm going to hit equals.
Did you square or take the square root, Linda?
I squared it.
Okay, good.
So that should be my numerator. And then I'm dividing that by, that was 10 times 10 minus 1.
You can just do that in your head, Linda.
Yeah, so I'm just dividing this by 90. So I'll hit equals for that. This is the inside of my square root. So then I take the square root of this, and I get 0.47667, whatever.
Hey, Linda, that is the right answer. Okay.
Oh, that's so good.
Well, no, that is so good. Now, by the way, I'm sharing a little inside baseball here. I asked Linda if she thought we should talk before this class, and she says, let's just wing it. But you see, Linda was trying to remember how to do this calculator. And if we talked and I insisted on a practice, by the way, we don't practice. But you see, you do want to practice because you want to say, damn, it's not on a high stakes assessment. You don't want to be figuring out how to use the calculator. Now,
Don't be like me, guys. Practice.
Okay. Actually, you folks would do well to aspire to be like Linda. But anyway, Linda, please go and do this in Excel, and then we'll move on to something else.
All right. So I'm actually going to do this in pieces, just so I don't have one equation with everything happening. So the first thing was equals. So I type in my equal sign, and I'm doing 10 times, so that was the shift 8 to get the little star. And then I'm multiplying that by 513.27. So when I hit enter here, then that'll give me that first quantity. Now the next thing I'm doing is subtracting 71.5 squared. So in this cell, then I'm going to do equals 71.5, and I'm raising that to the second power. So then now I'll take the difference of those. So equals, I can click on this cell, M3, and then subtract
Hey,
N3.
Linda, did you start the recording again?
Yes, I did.
Good. Wow, you are good. Wow.
I know, right?
No, you are.
So I take the difference, and I do get that 20.45 again. So now I'm going to take that number and divide it by 90, just like we did before. And then lastly, I'm going to take the square root of this number. So you can do this in two different ways. You can either type equals SQRT and use the square root function. So in that case, then I would open a parenthesis, click on the number I'm taking the square root of, close my parenthesis, and press enter. Or what you can do is do equals, click on the number from before that we're taking the square root of, and raise that. So I did shift 6 to get the upper caret, and I'm raising that to the 0.5 power. And either way, I get the same answer.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. I'm going to give you. I'm not going to let you pick another number. I'm just going to ask you to do this, and I'm going to ask you to do this one in Excel, please. And why don't you go back to the whiteboard, though? I'm going to recite it to you, and then and again, Linda knows a lot of statistics, so this is all good for her. Okay, you ready to write?
Yes.
Okay, 98.20
Hold on. 98.20
minus 98.60. That is your numerator, and so a big old line under that. And in the denominator, you have another fraction. So the numerator in the denominator is 0.62. And that is then divided by, good, you got it. It is the square root of 106. And of course, Linda could tell you what kind of statistics this comes up in. And actually, this is a problem having to deal with temperatures. They say that 98.6 is the temperature. It's not really. But anyway, so Linda's going to do, and she's probably writing it down now, but she's going to do this calculation. And Linda, just do this in Excel. Don't use the calculator for this.
Okay.
But there's a math thing that happens here, and that's why I actually picked this example for Linda, because there's a math thing about this.
So for this one, then I'm going to do my first numerator and then my denominator separately. So first would be equals, and I'm doing 98.2 minus 98.6. So that'll be my numerator that I'll divide by whatever I get from my denominator. So then that was 0.62. And then I'm dividing that by the square root of 106. So if I wanted to get the square root of 106, then I could do that separately and then insert that into this. But what I'm going to do is just do 106 being raised to the 0.5 power. So that is my denominator. And then all I do is just divide those two numbers. So the 6022. So I get negative 6.64.
And Kathy, I am going to recognize you in just a second. But you see, Linda was doing something very nice there, and it's the power of Excel, because you don't have to enter that number in again. You can just point and click. And notice that that is a negative number, and that is negative 6.6, and that's actually an equation for the standard deviation. Yes, Kathy.
I'm pretty confused right now, and I'm just wondering, are you just showing us just a really quick way that we can go back over to see how to use Excel kind of as a calculator, or what are we doing right now?
Yeah, this is really just showing you how Excel can be used as a calculator. Like how to use the different division, multiplication, square roots, stuff like that.
And will there be a further, like a more in detailed video about this if this is kind of going too fast for us?
This is being recorded. There is a video, and what you can do when Linda posts these videos on my YouTube channel, what you can do is you can pause. And one of the things that Linda has told me anyway, that's good about these doing these things with videos, is if you have a question, you could say, oh, I have a question at timestamp 7:12. Okay, and interacting with Linda or me or somebody, they can go there and they can see exactly what it is. Okay, so you do have videos that, you know, I mean, Linda is being recorded right now. Linda, I didn't see what that comment was. Did you see it?
No, I did not. Is there anything specific that you'd like for me to re-go over right now that I could answer for you?
No, I think my main difficulty is I'm really an in-person learner, and it's very hard for me through the levels of separation with technology to feel like I'm grasping it if I'm not doing it with you or having someone. I don't know if that explains it. It's just.
Yeah, so what I'd really suggest, especially for this part of the class where I'll be doing a lot of Excel work, is really just focus on following along for the first time, and then later on in the week, then go back, watch the video, and kind of pause it throughout and work through the problems yourselves as you go.
Okay, and do you know, I actually use an iPad with a keyboard attached for my, instead of a laptop at home. Would that work
Okay.
with Excel?
I'm not 100% sure just because I don't use a lot of Apple products, but I imagine it would.
Okay, thank you.
There were several questions and answers and comments over here, so I'm just going to kind of, you know, wrap them all together and say a couple of things. I really want there to be a level playing field, so I don't want one student who maybe is wealthy and has you know, the fanciest computer in the world to be doing something different than others. So my common denominator here is I'm going to be asking you to use the on-screen calculator or use Excel. And I do let you, and Paula, I'll recognize you in just a minute. And so I do let you use those things, okay? But what you want to do is practice those and become familiar with those. Paula, what is your comment, please?
It's for Linda. So when you were doing the square root, you usually do like a little symbol and then 0.5 every time that we're trying to do a square root.
Yeah, so you can do that, or if you'd like to, then you can do equals SQRT and then type in the numbers that way. But if I were to do that, SQRT is actually a function in Excel. So I would have to do that separately, get that number, and then plug it back in.
Okay, so if I'm doing it together in one, that's when you do the 0.5.
Yeah, so in this problem, then we did like 0.62 divided by the square root of 106 for my denominator. So I would have to do 0.62. And then I have these two things being divided in my denominator, so I'd get that. And then once I have this number that I got from dividing those two quantities, then I would plug that back in, so that would be equals, take the negative 0.4, and then divide that by this number that I just got. So you will end up with the same thing either way. It's just a matter of if you want to take that extra step or not.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hannah, I'm recognizing you.
Yeah, so I put the entire equation, like as far as like tests go, or just like assignments, like as far as rounding, because I put the entire equation like into my calculator, and like I mean it's basically the same answer. I got like -6.6364. So obviously like
Basically, the same number is going to be good enough in this class.
okay, so you don't do like if it's not like the exact number that you got as
Well,
the answer.
like we will have conventions, Hannah, and here's a convention. Typically, with standard deviations, you round off to the hundredths place. Okay, so
Yes.
we will have some conventions like that, but I'm not going to be picky. In fact, let me ask Linda. Linda, am I picky
No,
in
not
the
at all.
in this class? Yes. Okay. Linda actually took a class from me once, and she probably would say, "Oh God, he was a pain in the ass then." But no, that you're going to be okay, Hannah.
Okay, thank you.
Now, that is another thing that's nice about Excel, though, is you get the exact values that you can refer to at any point in the problem. So like all this work that I've been showing, then I can go back to any of those steps and use any of those numbers exactly. So that's personally why I like Excel, just because I don't have to go back and re-enter everything into my calculator. Even though it's a powerful calculator, then I still have to type a lot just to get in the numbers that I want.
Hannah, is that you again?
Oh no, I didn't lower my hand, sorry.
Now Kathy is there. Yes, Kathy.
So if we learn, you know,
Kathy, Hannah, I'm sorry. I wasn't saying, Hannah, is that you again? I wasn't saying that.
No, you're okay.
All right. Yeah, Kathy, I'm sorry.
so if we're learning Excel, if we're learning everything, but we prefer to do it on the calculator, are there things on the test where you will ask us specifically to perform it within Excel or to show our work using Excel as the calculator?
Your calculator, well, there are some calculators, but the calculator that I'm asking you to use here won't sort that data for you. And you see, so like what's going to happen, Kathy, and everyone else, is I might say, oh, gee, there's a database of bears there that is in Blackboard in the syllabus tab. Go get it and do something with it. Well, you're probably not in a good position to do that because I've already got it in Excel, and so you would be way ahead by using it, doing it in Excel. So and what I'm really trying to say to everybody is don't run away from this. In fact, this is really a true story. And in fact, I'm talking about Margaret, and I'm not going to tell you the last name, but Linda will in fact remember Margaret. Margaret was a student who was successful in this, and by the way, she came in and I think she wanted to hug me when she got into the program. But anyway, Margaret did tell me that one of the things that she really learned was she got good at. That's not me?
Nope, that was me.
Okay. Um, the uh, she said that that's one of the really important things that she learned in this course was how to handle Excel. So anyway, maybe we've I don't know, maybe we said enough about that. Okay, now we're going to go back to the thing, the slides in just a minute, but I'm trying to set a context here. Okay, all right. So you saw a video, or at least I told you to watch a video that talked about the three purposes of statistics. I'm not going to ask you that today, but it actually is a very nice video. You had a video on scatter plots that you watched. You had a video on histograms that you watched, and you had a video that was on measures of center. And so this is the mean, median, and mode. Okay. And Linda, I think the easiest way, and so there are three measures of center. By the way, the video did not talk about the mode, but it did talk about the mean and median. I do expect you to be able to know what these things are and so on and so forth. So Linda, I'm going to ask you, um, let's just do the let's go back and look at the And the only reason I'm asking you to go back to this, go back to that test 1, test 2, and we might come
Okay.
and do with the bears. But let's go to the test 1 and test 2 first, and we might come and do the bears. All right, so now we're studying measures of center. What's the middle of the data? And Linda, I'm giving the ball to you. Go ahead.
Okay, so which one do you want me to find first?
Well, test 1 or test 2 don't so much care.
Okay. So first we'll find the average or the mean of test 1. So for this one, then you could do it by hand or you can use the Excel formula. So I'll show you both ways on how to do that. So to do it by hand, then you'd be doing equals sum, open a parenthesis, and then we're going to highlight all the data. So then I can click back in the formula bar, close my parenthesis, and hit enter. So that added up all the data, and now what I'm going to do is divide that by the number of data points for test 1. So in this case, it was 25, as we had mentioned earlier in class. So for that, then I'm going to do equals, I'm taking the number of everything added together, and then dividing that by the total number of data points, and I get the average to be 75.48.
And by the way, Linda did something very good there, and that's one of the things that's way cool about Excel. You can type text in there. So you see she wrote average just because she'll know, oh, that's the average, and she could have written more words even, say average of test 1, although she probably knows that just because it's over there, okay? But you see, sometimes you'll have a whole bunch of numbers and you'll say, what the heck was that number? I mean, you see the number, but you say, what was it? And now she knows. Keep going, Linda.
Okay, so I'm just labeling a couple of the numbers that we have. So then next, to get the average using just the Excel formula, then you can do equals average, just typing in the word average, open a parenthesis, and highlight your data. So I close my parenthesis and hit enter. And we do get the same number. So then next would be the median. So to find the median, then what I'm really looking for is the middle point. So for this, what I'm going to do is n plus 1 divided by 2. So where n is the total number of data points. So in this case, that would be 25 plus 1, so 26, divided by 2 gets me to 13, right? So that doesn't mean the median is 13. It means I'm counting 13 spots down.
And Linda, what did you do first before you were doing this?
I sorted the data.
That's right. And you see, so if you're just finding that and you haven't sorted the data already, you have to do that because it's the middle data point.
So this 25, my lowest data point would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13 lands me on 80. So I'm going to highlight that, and 80 is now my median.
Now, Linda, that's not the same as the average. Why is that? Because these are both measures of center.
Because this is not a perfectly normal distribution.
Okay, good.
So then we can do the same thing for test 2, if you would like.
Please.
Okay. So I'm actually going to insert a column beside that so we can do roughly the same thing. And this is going to be test 1, and I'll label this as test 2. So for the total sum of the data, then actually to get the average, then I'm just going to use the basic average formula. So equals average, open a parenthesis, highlight your data. Close the parenthesis, press enter, and our average for test 2 is 54.65. So then for the median, since I have 26 data points, then 26 plus 1 gets me to 27. So that is actually 13.5. So I'm counting 13.5 spots down. So this is going to land me between 13 and 14.
Yes,
Okay.
Kathy. Yes, Kathy. What is up?
Why would you add 1 to the median when you're doing number? Wouldn't it be number divided by 2?
So
No.
this formula right here is just telling me how many spaces to count down. Because the median, then I'm looking for the very middle of the data.
And by the way, Kathy and everyone else, in the video, they did a very nice job of that. And I'm going to say one other thing, too. Some people who write statistics programs use different definitions. This is something that a very famous statistician named John Tukey was very fond of doing it this way. So when we do medians in this class, we will use the Tukey methodology, which is exactly what Linda is doing. Okay, and by the way, that might be a video you want to go back and watch again. Go ahead, Linda.
Okay, so I'm counting 13.5 spots down. So that's going to take me to spot 13 and 14. And then what I'm going to do is just take the average of these two numbers. So equals average. And then I'm just highlighting those two numbers in yellow. So that just gets me halfway between those two, which is 54.5. Any questions on that?
Can you do the sum of test 2, the total sum, if that's okay?
Sorry, what was that?
Can you do the total sum of test 2? Because I know you did it for the test
Yeah.
1.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So the total sum of the data for test 2, then all I'm doing is typing in equals sum, open a parenthesis, highlight your data from test 2, close your parenthesis, press enter. So that gets me the total, but then if I want to find the average, then I would need to divide that number by the total number of data points for test 2. So in this case, that would be 26. So I'm taking that sum and dividing it by 26, which I can actually just steal from right here. And we do get the same number.
Thank you.
And
Yeah, no problem.
And Linda is a wonderful teacher, and one of the things that she's doing that's very nice here, you see, there will be times when you want to add up a column and not find the average of it. So she's showing you how to do that. So she's doing a very nice job of picking the things that she does here. Now you see, we get the same story. So on test 1, the average was 75 and change, and the median was 80. And on this one, the median was 54.5, and the average was, I don't see it somewhere, but it was lower anyway. Yeah. So what really happened is, yeah, again, this is showing us that they did worse. Now, this is covered really, I think, pretty well in the video. Linda covered it well here. But what is not talked about, Linda, in the video that I asked them to do is the mode, and that's another measure of center. And there can be multi-modes and things like that. So Linda, you want to talk about the definition of a mode and find the mode for, or modes perhaps, for test 1s and test 2, please?
Sure. So the mode just means that the data point appears frequently. So we're looking for what number appears the most. So I find this easiest to do looking at the stem plot, just because you can see multiple numbers all in a row. And it looks like for test 1, then the most a single number occurs would be twice. So I'm looking for all the numbers that occur twice. So in this case, I see 66 right here twice. So 66 and 66. And then that happens again with 68 and with 69. And then I see that again for 87. and that looks like the most that any number appears. So all 4 of these numbers would be the mode of test 1.
And we would say that this is multimodal, okay?
So then for test 2, then it looks like the same deal where twice is the maximum number that a single number shows up. So in this case, that would be 35, it would be one of them. And then I'm seeing 46, 57, and 71, it looks like. So we also have 4 modes for test 2.
Okay, so let's see, that is Paula, I think. Yes, go ahead, Paula.
Do we have to do this as well for a histogram or just for a stem and a leaf? The average and the mode and the median.
So modes aren't unique to a stem and leaf plot. It's just I find it easiest to pick out the modes because you can see all the numbers already grouped together. So to give the modes, then you would literally just have to be asked, like, what are the modes of this data? It wouldn't necessarily be make a histogram, and because you're told to make a histogram, then now you know that you need to make, well, you need to find the modes as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Linda, let's do a poll, please. Okay.
Okay.
And the poll, here's the question for the poll. Maybe Linda will write this down, but it's going to be, the answers are going to be mean, median, and mode. Okay. Which measure of center is resistant to extreme values? Linda's probably, yeah, she's typing it there. That's good. And she'll probably improve on what I said. Okay, so you're supposed to be answering this. And again, jump in and play. You're not getting graded on this. It's just, well, the correct answer is median. And so that is good. Just again, you want to watch the video and maybe make sure that you understand why that is true. Linda, it's the same kind of answers, but we have a new question. And the new question is, which measure of center works with qualitative data?
Okay.
It's hard for me to tell. Some people might say, hey, everybody's running that way. Yeah, the answer definitely is mode. And you see, the mode could be, I could ask Linda to go out into the College of DuPage parking lot in pre-COVID times. And I could say, go out there and catalog what make of cars are in the parking lot. And then she could come in and I said, what is the most common thing? But you see, you can't add Fords and Chevys, but she would come in and she could report, well, it's a Chevrolet or something like that. Okay, that's good with that. And I think I'm almost finished with measures of center here. And so now what we're going to do, Linda, is let's go back to the PowerPoint show, and we'll tell you what. Why don't you go and do the bears and find the means and median and mode? Well, mean, median, and mode of the bears.
Which thing?
Wait.
Okay. So to get the mean, then once again, we're just doing the average. So I'm doing equals average, open a parenthesis, and we're doing the weights. So I'm highlighting that data. Then I'll close my parenthesis and hit enter. So that is my mean, 182.8 approximately. Next, I'll get my median. And remember, to get the median, then we need to sort the data. So because I don't want to lose what anything is attached to, then I'm actually going to highlight all of this.
And that what Linda said was very significant. So Linda, would you mind repeating that maybe in just a little bit? Linda's a little bit like those videos. I think there's value in watching those videos more than once, because sometimes they say something only once, but it's really important. And Linda just said something really important. Go ahead, Linda.
So I don't want to lose what anything is attached to. So what that means is if I only highlighted the weight section, and I'll even show you guys this just as an example, if I want to sort this from smallest to largest, then you see that Excel is going to tell me there's data next to it. Are you sure about that? And if I say continue, then all I did was just change the data values in the weight column. Everything else stayed the same. So I've effectively shuffled almost the weights with the rest of the data that it's tied to. So I definitely want to undo that. And then I will highlight everything and sort it correctly. So I am going to go for sort and filter, and I want to do a custom sort because now I'm sorting by the weights. And I am doing cell values, and that'll be smallest to largest. So you see now that everything in the table changed because every single row changed with where the weight is supposed to be to sort that column. So let's see, we have 54 data points. So to find the median, then remember I'm doing n plus 1 divided by 2. So in this case, that's going to be 54 plus 1 divided by 2. So 54 plus 1 gets me to 55. 55 divided by 2 would be, let's see, 27.5.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm counting 27 spaces down. So between 27 and 28, which on this will actually be rows 28 and 29. So I'm going to highlight those two just so we can keep track of them. And the midpoint between 150 and 150 is in fact 150. So that would give me my median.
Linda?
Yes?
Thing that, and of course we didn't rehearse this, but the median is neither one of those numbers. It's in between them. And so that's going to be important later when we're doing quartiles and stuff like that. So I'm just making a note. You might say it doesn't make any sense to you, but it will later. And maybe, Linda, if you can remember, maybe we'll talk about that. In fact, maybe we'll do quartiles on the bears later. But it's neither one of those 150s. It's a different 150. Okay. So anyway, go ahead, Linda. Back to you.
Okay. So then last would be the mode. So I'm looking for what appears the most.
Good thing you've sorted that. That makes it easier, isn't it?
It does. So I'm seeing 150 appearing twice, 140 appears twice. I'm looking for anything that may appear 3 times. Let's see. I don't see anything 3 times, so I think twice is the maximum. So that would be, let's see here. I'm just quickly skimming through the data. So that is 140, and we had 150, and then 166 as well. And then I see 202 and 204 and 220. And I think that may be it. Yes, it is. So we have a lot of modes.
All right, Linda, let's go back to the PowerPoint slide, and we're going to talk about the concept of weighted averages. And weighted averages was discussed in the video, but we're going to do a couple of examples of weighted average. And this is the first problem we're going to do. And Linda, just so you know where we're going after this, I'm starting to pay attention to the time because I do want to, you know, expose everybody to the whatever whatever low stakes assessment. So we are going to do that. But Linda's going to talk about weighted average. I'm going to read this, but then Linda, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about GPA, and you're just going to make up an example of that, Linda, and then that'll get us to a point where we can talk about that. So, okay, so here's a story. Susie, I actually was dating a girl named Suzette once, and she went by that. Anyway, Susie has 98 average, a 98 average going into the final exam, but the final is 30% of her grade. What's the lowest grade she can get on the final exam and still earn an A, 90% or better in the class? Okay, now this is a weighted average because you see the final counts more than anything else, so it's a weighted average. You have the ball, Linda.
Okay. So do you want me to use Excel or just do it on here?
Excel. I don't care, however you want to do it. It's up to you.
Okay. I mean, I would do this just as a basic algebra problem, honestly. So we have 98 going in. So that 98 would have to be, let's see if I can get my pen to write. I don't know why that's not working. Okay, we'll move to text. So if we have 98, then that is 70% of what is currently happening.
I'm still not seeing anything, Linda.
Yeah, I'm still typing. So you should see something now.
All right.
So then I'm adding 30% times some mystery value, which will be the final exam. So x times 30%. And then that's going to equal the 100. And that'll be times 90%. Well, 100% times 90.
And this is actually an inequality, right? So it's bigger than or equal to, and I know you're
Yes.
breakpoint. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so then all I'm doing is just computing these numbers. So in my calculator, then I can do 98 times 0.7. And this we can even do on Excel. So let me switch back to that. So for this, then that would equal 98 times 0.7. So then I'm just solving that equation. So I'm doing equals 90 minus, subtracting that value that we had on the left-hand side of our equation. And then what I got here, then I want to divide that by 0.3, which is the 30% that the final weighs. So you would need to get at least 71.3.
And the students might be wondering, I would call the 71.3 a 72, okay, if I were grading something. Okay, now Linda, and now I want you to talk about a GPA thing, and probably that's best done as a weighted average here in in Excel. Just make up something and talk about it, please. Go ahead.
Okay. So if you're trying to calculate a GPA or weighted average, then you need to know the weight and you need to know what score you got, basically. So I have a weight column and a grade column. So let's say that you're taking 4 different classes, and these would be the credit hours for each one. So 3, 4, 3, and 5. Puts you 15 credit hours. So a little bit overloaded, but not too much. And we'll say that the grades, then you get a B in the 3 credit hour, an A in the 4, a C in the other 3, and you manage to just squeak by with a D in the 5 credit hour. So then to calculate your GPA, then we actually need to translate these grades into numbers. So I'm going to do that in this column here. If we're working on a 4.0 scale, then that means an A is equivalent to a 4. So then a B would be a 3, a C would be a 2, and a D, which is not usually considered passing, would be 1. Okay?
And an F is a 0.
Yes. If you get an F, then you do not get credit for the class. So in this column, then I'm going to do weight times grade. So all I'm doing here is just taking the number for the weight and multiplying it by the number for the grade. So when I do this, then that'll give me that one computation, but then if I turn this into a skinny cross just by hovering over that bottom right corner, then I can actually drag this formula down and it'll do the same thing with the corresponding cells. So for example, how this one used cell B16 and D16, then this one is now using B17 and D17, as you can see in the formula bar up here. So it's a very, very handy thing, being able to just drag and drop formulas. Now next what we need to do is come up with a couple of sums. So I'm going to add up the total of these weight times grade, close my parenthesis, and hit enter. And then I'm actually going to do the same thing with just the weights, so I can drag that formula over, and it'll do that for me there as well. And you can even double check it by hitting the cell and then looking in the formula bar just to make sure that you're selecting the correct cells and that everything's working out how it should. Then lastly, to calculate your GPA, then all I'm doing is hitting equals, taking that 36 and dividing it by the total weights, which were 15. So even though you got an A in one class, then because of that D in the 5 credit hour class, then you end up with a 2.4 GPA.
But you're still eligible to play football in the NCAA.
And that's what matters.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, actually, I work with a lot of football players. Okay, now I think what we're going to do is, and by the way, sometimes people ask people old like me, what advice? Don't quit. This seemed like a lot. You guys can do this, okay? You guys can do this. So don't quit, okay? That's my strong advice to you. Okay, so Linda, let's go back to the PowerPoint slides,
Okay.
and we're going to go find the LSA. Okay, now I'm going to talk just a little bit about that. Now, here's what you have, and this actually is some live data. I'm not going to tell you where I got this data, but this is some live data. And Linda, how many points do you get for a W?
0.
Yeah, and so for F's you get that, and so you have all that, but there's some information missing. And one of the things that you learned is sometimes you have to go get things. So for example, that is Business Law 2205, that is English 1102, it is Math 2134, it is biology 1120, and this just goes on. It's music 1351, and so on and so forth. So anyway, those are courses, those are grades. So here's the question, and this is a hypothetical. By the way, this is not really someone named Zoe. I made up that name. Okay, what is Zoe's GPA going into her final term at the College of DuPage? So there is your data. And by the way, I think I'm going to have Linda show you that data is actually, I think, Linda, in the syllabus tab, so you don't have to retype that. And that goes back to the question, I think it was Kathy asked that, but you see the data is there, so you don't have to retype that. And if you don't retype it, you get that. And here, and this is answering a question someone else said, round the answer to the nearest thousandths place. So this is Zoe's GPA going into her final term. And her final term is that green stuff up there. You see, she never did finish off English 1102, but now she is, okay? So what is her GPA going into the final term? Zoe would like to graduate with a GPA of 3.0 or better. Is this possible? And explain your answer. The biggest thing is explaining your answer there, and so you want to do that. Now you are going to be submitting this. There is a late penalty. It'll be modest. This is a low stakes assessment, but I would suggest you focus on getting this done. You can get help. You can talk to Linda. You can come to my office hours. I mean, give it a try yourself, but you have time to work on this. And this is important. It is not done until it's properly uploaded to Blackboard as a PDF. And some students, their high school teachers, they just wadded up the paper and threw it, in the trunk of their teacher's car or something. Oh yeah, I threw it in your trunk. Can't you find it? Well, here I want you to do that. So it's not done till you do that. And there is a target time, but you see, here's what I'm saying: do the work, and then I want you to upload your work to Blackboard as a PDF. Now, there's a whole bunch of ways you can do that, and Lori, I'll be with you in just a second. But one way to do it is to use the free app. I'm big on free app, Microsoft Office Lens. That's an efficient way to do this. So, Lori, go ahead. And Linda, while I'm fielding Lori's question, I want you to go to Blackboard, and I want you to show them the LSA that's sitting there, as well as how they submit it. Yes, Lori.
I just wanted to double check that you said that W's are worth 0.
Yeah, because they withdrew from the course.
But you're still counting it. But you're still counting that course towards the average, correct? So basically, a W and an F are equal to the same thing.
That's right.
Okay, I just wanted to double check.
You get no quality points, and I don't think Linda called them quality points, but some people do.
Okay, and we are counting D's as ones.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you.
But there's a missing piece of data, and we talked about you have to go out and find data. Okay, so please go ahead, Linda, then to the thing. Blackboard.
Okay, should be any second.
Okay.
There we go. So the data for LSA1 is in fact in the syllabus tab.
I think Jenna's got her hand up too, and I am watching the time, but go ahead. We're fine. Jenna?
I just wanted to give another tip on how to upload or scan a PDF. If you have an iPhone, you can do it in our notes in the camera section of the note.
Okay.
I just wanted to give that a heads up.
Okay.
Thank you.
And that's good. Okay. All right. So down there is a thing that says data for the LSA XL, whatever. That's an Excel file. So just open that, and you'll see there's the data. So you could say, oh, that's not it yet, but there it is. Okay, that's the same data. Okay, and then Linda, go and show them where the PDF upload area is, please.
Okay, so that is just right over here with PDF upload.
Jenna, do you have another comment, or you?
No, I'm sorry.
Okay, great. And don't be sorry. I didn't want to miss a question. Okay, so you see, and click on that. Just show them what happens there.
Okay.
That's where you're going to upload it and scroll. Oh, there it is, due date. You see, now you have a due date. This is due Sunday, January 31st at
11:59.
That's almost midnight. Okay, Linda, let's do a poll. And this is, how are people, and you'll figure out, like, let's just
Yep.
pick 3 buckets. And so this is how you are. And I am watching time for you, but we got 4 minutes here. So we're going to do this little poll. Yes, Lori, is your hand up again?
Yes, I just wanted to double check. Now, when Linda clicked on the Excel, it gave us the data, but it didn't give the question.
No, but
No, the question is given in the PowerPoint.
syllabus.
So if you open the PowerPoint from tonight's class, then it's actually listed there.
Okay, perfect.
Actually, it's also, Lori and everyone else, listed in the the syllabus tab, because that's where everything is. I listed that separately there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, so here is your, yes, Kathy.
I was wondering, are the data points weighted based on whether it's a 3 or 4 or 5 credit course?
Yeah, so you'll have to look that up in the course catalog on COD's website.
Oh, course by course? Okay.
Yeah.
You have till Sunday to do it. But yes, and Kathy just gave you guys a big heads up. And by the way, some terms students have just said, "Oh yeah, I just multiply those numbers." No, you have to do what Kathy just said, and that's why the courses that this person took are important. Okay, what's going on here? Okay, first of all, the people that are doing great, outstanding. The people that are doing okay, that's fine. The people are struggling, don't give up. Look at these videos again. Talk to Linda, talk to me, and don't give up. Okay, we have a couple of minutes for questions. Anybody got any more questions? Kathy wants to say something. Go ahead, Kathy. By the way, those of you who've been volunteering and talking up, I like that a lot. That's good. Okay, go ahead.
My question was, I know most things, everything seems to be closed at COD. Is there any option for in-person, with masks, distance? Is there anything other than like the study groups and the tutoring that is all via Zoom or online? Is there any other option for any outside help with office hours?
Well, I have office hours, and even though my office hours are Zoom, because that's what we're supposed to do, um, um, I would encourage you to give me a try, because I can share screens and things like that. And actually, a lot of students found that useful. Okay, and so that can be useful, and I think I can make it worth your while there. I am going to tell you that I had one student. This was a different course. It was business calculus, and his mother was sobbing, and she says, "I'm going to have to pay $1,000 for a tutor for my kid." And I said, "Why don't you have your son come to my office hours instead of paying $1,000 for the tutor?" He did, and I fixed him. Okay. Let's see. Is this Mariella? I may have missaid that.
No. So I have a question. I think you guys said it was 0 points for the withdraw, but doesn't it, if you withdraw, it doesn't affect your GPA?
So if you withdraw, then it counts as 0 credit hours. It doesn't count as a 0 for the grade as it would if you got an F.
Zero.
So they're 2 different zeros.
Okay. I'm just a little bit confused. I think I'm confusing this database with the one that you did the example, maybe?
Yeah, so actually, let me share my screen again real quick, and we can talk about that.
I'm going to say something too. If you were to Google, "how do I compute a GPA?" you'll find a gazillion YouTube videos that talk about that. And they might not explain it as brilliantly as Linda did, but they'll do the same thing.
So if I get a withdraw, if I withdraw from a class, then essentially what that means is the weight for that class is now a 0 when I'm computing my GPA. So it doesn't matter what you're doing with the grade, because when you multiply that by 0, then that still turns into 0. So my
Got it.
GPA doesn't change.
Okay, got it.
Okay, now Linda knows what I'm going to say now. I always close a class with time is precious, each day must count. Do the math, it'll make you strong. And God bless y'all, okay? We're finished for tonight. Watch for more videos.
And I will be uploading the Excel spreadsheets from tonight onto Blackboard, so you guys have those to reference and you can see what I typed in each individual cell.
And we're going to
All right.
post the videos, and Linda will tell you where those are as well, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.